Well, I'm really excited to welcome today's guest leader. Leadership for me is really about making a positive impact on the world. You do that by being you, being collaborative, and being impactful. Well, today's guest absolutely lives up to this and more. A former project finance lawyer turned serial entrepreneur, business mentor, and charity founder. They're a transformational leader and business mentor to thousands of women who have created their own businesses across the world. She regularly shares her wisdom on compassionate leadership, sustainable entrepreneurship, and helps women create more impact and income through creating their own love legacy. She's the founder of Blossom and Berry, which is a global organization teaching the power of love and connection for families. And she has a network of over 1,000 teachers across the world and 4 international branches. She's also established her own charitable project to give back to vulnerable mothers and babies in poverty. So today I'm delighted to welcome Gayle Berry. Welcome, Gayle. What a pleasure.
Wow, what an intro. I've got something to do. I'm like, wow, she sounds really cool.
How fantastic that. So it's really great to welcome today. And I guess the way this will work really, it's all about lessons from the field. So it's really about getting your insights and ideas about what you think is working, now and in the future. So the first question, perhaps for listeners, is perhaps gives a little bit of an overview really of your leadership journey so far.
Okay, this is a great question, because actually, Graham, it was you that helped me to actually identify myself as a leader. Because I think this is something that perhaps when you are an entrepreneur and you start your business, you're so busy sort of doing the admin and doing all of the jobs that you kind of don't see yourself as a leader, but ultimately you are. From the moment you step up into that creating position, you become the leader. And it is why business, embodies your values. It's your mission, it's your passion, it's your purpose. That is leadership. And I used to think that you could only be a leader if you actually had a team, as in, you had people that you had team meetings with and you had departments and things like that. And then you very kindly reflected back to me that actually leadership is actually what you embody as a person. So my leadership journey officially started when I met you. But I think I was probably doing it before then. And I think really it's something where I have a definite purpose on the planet. I definitely believe that there's a reason for me being here, and I'm very clear in that. And in everything that I do, no matter what hat I'm wearing, I'm always embodying my highest values, which is love and connection, community and contribution. And when I stand in that power, I seem to be able to, manifest amazing things, call in the right people, and create incredible community, which is having lots of impact in the world. So, yeah.
You made a really fascinating point there, about a lot of people thinking that leadership is all about the position they're in. They're a CEO or a senior leader or on the board of directors, and they've got the chair with the arms on, so they're really important and things like that. And it's so true, isn't it? We're led into, probably from our education really, in terms of that's what a leader is. It's that senior person, and I guess from families as well, and the hierarchy and things like that. But really, we're all leaders, aren't we? And it's about your values, and you said there about living your life from love and the core values that you have, and that's what really makes the impact, isn't it, on the world? And for me, it's about how you do make that impact and how you do make a positive impact on people's lives for the good. And I know you do a lot of that. What have been your biggest leadership lessons so far? I'm sure there'll be many more to come, but so far, what have been the standout lessons for you?
Well, I've got one very particular one that I'd love to share, because it's very relevant now, because obviously we're recording this at the time of COVID-19, aren't we? So for those who might not be listening right now. But for me, being a leader is getting out of your own way. So it's going from the me to the we. And so for me, before COVID-19 came along, I was, I was talking about my values. I was calling in my people. I was embodying what I wanted to see in the world. But the gift of COVID-19 was suddenly I realized that there was this incredible opportunity to share and serve. And that's what I talk about a lot is, it's the business is relational, not transactional. It's not sales, it's service. And so that opportunity to really help people, I just got out of my own way. I was like, why do I keep saying in my head, I can't do this, or I'm not capable, or this, that, and the other? It's like there's a genuine need out there. Something needs, people need my help. So I'm just going to step up. And when I did, like miraculous things just happened. I was able to help I've helped over 100 women in free mentorship calls. I've done masterclasses. I have had the 2 best months in my business because I pivoted my business to create products and programs which exactly met the needs of my community, because I actually asked them rather than carrying on with what I was doing. I just thought, stop, connect, ask the questions, create what's needed, and then show up and serve and lead. And so for me, the biggest lesson I would say is to always go from the me to the we, and to go from your head. I'm going to say this: go from your head into your heart.
Absolutely. It's so true, isn't it? And I think you made a really important point there. And I think certainly when I'm coaching senior leaders, it's amazing how many people have this imposter syndrome, this fear that I'm going to be found out. What happens if I'm found out? But actually what you've said there is, if you get out your way and really believe in your purpose and what you're there to do, and then live your values, and that's really what you're in control of. And set the goals, set the values, set your purpose, and then it's amazing then, isn't it, what things happen and what you can achieve. And getting that balance around between your head, your heart, and your gut is so important. I know you do that really, really well. Yeah, and that's the essence, isn't it? Leadership really is about being you, and bringing that. And you mentioned there also about the I to we, about that collaboration. We talk about leadership legacy. We'll talk about it a bit later on, but we always talk about that, being yourself, but being collaborative and being impactful. And that lesson really summarizes that. I mean, I wonder how many people out there are getting in their own way and stopping themselves from being really, really successful.
Yeah, I mean, my main sort of mantra is, if I believe that as humans we're here to do 2 things. One is to relieve pain and suffering, and the other is to bring more joy and happiness. And that's what I try to live every single day. And whenever again, I get back into my head and I think, but I can't do this, I don't have the resources, I need to have this, I need to have this course, I need to have this qualification. I'm just like, if I know something that can help somebody else by sharing, and I can relieve pain and suffering and bring joy and happiness, that's the reason why human beings are here, ultimately, in my opinion. And that gives you a great sense of fulfillment, which in turn gives you more energy, more motivation and determination to navigate, the more tricky parts.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's a philosopher called Peter Kostenbaum, who talks about the potential for greatness, and he talks about 4 things around ethics. So being of service, having a compelling vision and be able to articulate that, having the courage to implement, and then operating from reality. So what you just described there was, in essence, all his thinking in a few words, which is fantastic. Getting out there and doing it. Well, I know you've put lots of global teams together, and you mainly work with mums, don't you, in the business you've got? But obviously you've set cultural teams up, different cultures. You worked over Malawi as well. What is it that you look for in a leader?
Alignment, really, in terms of my global business partners, and also the 2 my 2 co-founders of my charity. For me, it's just the alignment of the values that just makes everything easy and helps everything flow. And also I think a good work ethic as well, because let's not pretend that you can't just think this stuff into reality. Intention, yes, 100%. Energy, of course, you have to be excited, but it is consistent and persistent action. So I think that if one of those is missing, if your fellow partners or leaders don't have the same intention as you, the same vision, if they're not as excited as you, and if they're not showing up in the same way as you won't get the synchronized impact that you can. So that's what I tend to look for.
Absolutely. I think that's I think it's amazing how many organizations will look for a subject matter expert, won't they, their skill sets, but not actually look at the softer side and the value side. And I know a lot do, and a lot actually spend a lot of time doing that. But I think you've mentioned a good point there. Is it's got to fit, hasn't it? Really, you still want that diversity, don't you? You still want that difference, but you want that hard, that work ethic, the value, the vision, the shared purpose. Yeah, I think it's really, really important. Absolutely. In terms of leadership, what would you say if there was, like, I don't know, one thing? I always find these questions really hard because like several things I want to say, but what would you say the most important thing is for leadership?
Oh, that is hard. I think for me, it is self-belief.
Right.
I would say, like, if you as the leader don't believe that it's possible, it's pretty hard to activate the mission and also give your community the confidence to trust you and to follow you. So I think confidence and self-belief is the foundation of leadership, and that comes from really truly getting up close and personal and knowing yourself. And remembering who you are and not being frightened to use your voice and embody your values in what you do. And I think it's courageous to be a leader.
Absolutely.
It's not for everybody, and I also actually like being in a team. So interestingly, I'm a really good team player as well. But there's certain things that I talk about creating a manifesto for your business. So all the things that activate you and either you want to see in the world or you don't want to see in the world. Having the confidence and voice to talk about those things, I think, is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point there, isn't it, about working in a team but also leading a team. I think one of the things that I certainly learned from the military is around shared leadership roles. The person who's got the information or skill should be in charge. So it's not about being a leader all the time. There's a wonderful video we share about when geese fly south and they form that that V formation, and what they do is they have the lead goose that actually then they rotate around and they share the workload. So I think that's important. That as a leader, it's about also being comfortable to be able to switch into working a team rather than always being in charge. And I think that's a big asset, definitely.
Yeah, I think whatever position you're in, it's about just doing the best that you can do in that particular role. And also that's about like not having an ego as well, isn't it?
Yeah. You mentioned about confidence. Do you think we spend enough time? I know you work a lot with babies and young children, and do you think we do enough to be able to build people's confidence and self-esteem?
Absolutely not.
Straight answer.
Fundamentally not. I mean, when we teach children through the educational system to follow the rules, and we don't encourage disruption, do we? We don't encourage really in schools that much innovation, and so that is the school system. So I think one of the things that's important to me as a mother for my children is to live my life as a lesson to them in what you can achieve, and that there is no path, and that you can start life as a corporate finance lawyer, and then you can have a baby when you're 26, and then you can start your own business, and then you can set up a charity, and you can pretty much go and do whatever you want if it means something to you. That's the thing. It's like, if it doesn't have meaning, then I believe that that's where we feel unfulfilled. So for my kids, I'm like, just do your best at school, like get all of the benefits out of education. Not everyone has access to education. We're very lucky, but also make sure that it has all your subjects have some sort of meaning to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that purpose is so important. Do you think, from a leadership point of view, do you think, I see that a lot in organizations where I'll go in, I'll talk to them and say, so tell me what your purpose is, and not many can really articulate it well. And that's from a senior leadership point of view. And I think that's so true at school. I certainly felt that when I was at school. I survived school. My mum was a teacher as well, so I had to do well. And I'm good at remembering things. So in my day in O levels, you could just remember it and just pass the exams. And it wasn't until I joined the military I realised that there's a purpose to things and a purpose for learning things. And suddenly you realise actually what you can achieve. So how do you get that purpose across? Because I know you do that really well in what you do. What's your tips around making sure? Because lots of companies, when they'll have a big conference and go, this is our purpose, this is our vision and strategy, and then you hear nothing, and it's back to hitting KPIs and all that sort of stuff. But what do you do? What do you do to keep that purpose alive?
That's a really good question, because I do really activate my community to be in alignment with this. I think I'm very clear, like I have a mission statement. So in essence, what I do as a job is I teach people to teach baby massage and yoga to parents by setting up their own business. That doesn't sound too sexy, to be honest. So I realised the actual real thing that I was doing, the real problem I was solving, is the mental health epidemic that we have in the world.
Wow.
And that comes from children not receiving love and not having connection and bonding and attachment in the first 1001 days of life.
Wow.
Now, what I do with baby massage is I provide a tool that enables parents to create connection, which gives children, babies, good mental health, which they then develop and use for things like emotional resilience, emotional intelligence, which actually prevents mental health problems later on in life. So when you actually peel it all down to everything starts with love, everything starts with connection, everything starts with being seen, heard. Like, that's what human beings need. That's the foundation of our said social, emotional and mental health. So what I do is I don't teach baby massage and yoga, I teach love. And I'm creating better mental health for the world with my work. And when I realized that piece, I got a totally different kind of vibe going through my community, because of course everyone wants to love the world forward, everyone wants to teach love, everyone wants to solve mental health problems.
Absolutely.
It's just framing it that this is one of the tools, not the only tool, but a tool that you can use in that process.
We certainly need a lot more of that. Certainly with you today at the moment, you look at what's happening over in the States with all the riots, things like that, and all this challenge with the virus as well. So certainly that. And I guess what I was thinking and what I was feeling was that you're teaching parents, really, aren't you, how to lead?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
How to lead with love. And I think that is foundational stuff, isn't it? And, if you think about if every parent knew how to lead effectively and build confidence in their baby, their children, to make sure that they are curious when they grow up and caring, how amazing would that be for the world? That's a massive impact.
That is what we teach. I mean, in essence, we teach the importance of responsive care, and that is now being adopted by, UNICEF, the World Bank. People are starting to realise that the economic output of countries comes from people, and what happens to people is their early experiences of life. So rather than trying to fix the problem here, where we've got mental health problems, why not work at the beginning in the first 1001 days of life, which is conception to 2, so that even when you're born, you're already reaching your human potential, because what happens to you during that time can really affect your wealth, your health and your educational output. So the world is taking notice. There is a shift even in economic development policy around this. So like I say, when I say I teach baby massage and yoga, I get a lot of eye rolling, and people think like they try and escape me in dinner parties, or oh god, she's a bit strange. And then I explain what it is I actually do. And people are like, wow, that is actually really, really amazing. So
absolutely, absolutely. It's incredible, isn't it? And the difference you're making. So I guess what you're saying is really sort of to really embed the purpose, you've got to lead from the front. You've got to be there first. You've got to really believe in it. And I wonder how many corporate leaders are out there who don't really believe in the purpose of their organization, and they're trying to lead as best they can, but they haven't got that heart connection in there. So it's really difficult then, isn't it? You're operating from a different intent, aren't you, in terms of what you're doing? And I think if we can create that as a leader, it's really important. And that whole confidence piece. Now, I always talk about leadership, about the ability of a leader to awaken possibility in people to deliver extraordinary results, and that's really our role, isn't it? Around how do we nurture people? How do we help them to grow? And I guess that's what you do with your team members, but also with the people you teach, don't you? The parents that you teach, you're building their confidence to be able to deliver great results.
That's ultimately what we're doing with babies. To be honest, is we're creating future leaders by giving them emotional intelligence, right at the beginning. Because as I said, all humans need to be seen, heard, feel like they belong and they're accepted. Once you have self-esteem, self-worth, that enables you to reach your full potential. So
Absolutely.
It's multifaceted, which is why I'm going to be doing this for a very long time. I don't have any intention of giving this stuff up. So
well, it'd be really fascinating, wouldn't it, to do like a long-term study to see the babies you've worked with, the parents you've worked with, and then it's a bit like those programs they do where they take people all the way through their school, don't they, to what they're doing in future life, and to see what impact that really has. And I think you're right. I think I've certainly, with my children, tried to, as much as I can, bring them up to be confident, to be caring and curious. I think if you can do that and compassionate, then they're going to have more success in life, aren't they? I think that's such an important thing. And I guess that's the same with people, aren't we? If I'm a leader within a business, that's what I should be doing with my team as well, is to build their confidence. I think I see a lot of managers do the complete opposite, don't they, with those dreaded appraisals and picking out faults and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think definitely. The key word is the key word I would use around my style of leadership for everything is nurture.
Yeah.
So, like nurturing the best out of your people, nurturing babies, nurturing parents so that they feel supported, so they can nurture babies. I nurture my teachers so they can nurture and support babies. And, like I work with coaches and mentors so that I nurture myself. So the self-care piece, the nurture piece, the piece that everything starts with you, I think is something that maybe in bigger corporations there's not that investment actually in truly nurturing what not the standard corporate self-care pack you go for the weekend, but genuinely asking questions about what do you need to feel supported, and actually responding to that.
It's interesting because a lot of work about wellness, isn't there, well-being in organizations, but that's down to a lot of the way they've been led up to now, that people have been so stressed at the way they've been led and managed. And I guess I'm going to, next time I go and work with a corporate gal, I'm going to ask the board of directors, I'm going to say, so where's your nurturing KPI? Do you have a measurement around nurturing? Do you is it part of your leadership model or whatever? But it's so true though, isn't it? Because that's what you're doing with your children, isn't it? And it's what we should be doing with our teams as well. We talk a lot about leadership legacy, don't we? And I know we've got a charity project we're looking to kickstart. We're stalled a little bit because of the situation at the moment, but certainly next year we're looking to go out to Malawi, aren't we, and make a big impact out there with a great group of leaders. What would you say your leadership legacy is?
Ooh, wow. Well, I like to think that, I have loved the world forward. Definitely, like every single day, I have teachers going out teaching love to parents and babies. And as I said, when parents are supported and loved and nurtured, they love and support babies who then grow with love and interact with their peers with love, which ultimately makes up our communities and societies. And that's how we love the world forward. So I really feel, I know that I make an impact every single day. And that was my dream, because I had the calling and I thought, how much can I do on my own? Sitting in my front room teaching maybe 100 mums a year, that wasn't enough for me. So I created a business model where I taught people to teach, and then that's rippled out across the world. So that's my leadership legacy is that I taught love.
Wow, fantastic. What a thing to be remembered for. Absolutely. What an impact, and the impact you have as well through that. I mean, a lot of leadership really is about how you then translate and work backwards from that, isn't it? If that's going to be my legacy, what are my rituals and routines and ways of working that actually going to achieve that? So what advice would you give to a new leader in terms of ways of working? What sort of routines can you get into that's going to help them to be successful, do you think?
So number one would be to be authentic in yourself. So always unlearn, always be in a state of unlearning, always be humble and always be ready to, to invest in yourself, because that's, you are at the front, as you said. So that's really important. And I think, for me, consistent and persistent, you've got to keep showing up. You've got to be visible, and in time, like with recording this in COVID-19, like I really showed up for my guys. Like within 12 hours, I was like, this is how we get all our classes online. This is how we keep mums and babies. Like my mantra was, we are not turning off the love supply. Love is needed even more. So like, let's do this, guys. And people were like, I don't understand technology. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I was there every step of the way. one step ahead, just saying, follow me, I'll show you the way. And we did it, you know. So I think that you know, the authenticity, investing in yourself and always learning, and then just showing up is really important.
So leading from the front, really, I guess I would describe that. And nurturing, I guess, is what you described as well there, wasn't it? Yeah. And it's about, I guess, I think for me, leadership is situational, and you saw a challenge there for your team, for your business, and you stepped up. Many leaders step back, don't they, and wonder what's happened. Whereas what you did is step forward, made a decision, got a solution, and supported and nurtured your team to implement that, which is what we can. That's all we can do as leaders, isn't it? Really, and certainly in the unknown is we've got to take a step-by-step approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were some amazing stories, you know, there's one teacher who had her classes in Newcastle, and she got her classes on Zoom, and suddenly she was teaching someone in Texas.
Wow.
And she was absolutely made up. She was like, you know, whatever happens with COVID-19, I can't believe that I actually had this opportunity to reach out and teach someone on the other side of the world, and they were in the groups. So, you know, there's always a gift in there. And now a lot of my teachers are seeing their audience as global. I've tried to really frame that for them, that, you know, you can, you know, this is mental health is a global epidemic. It's not just local, so we can do what we can wherever. Yeah,
it's amazing how that can be a catalyst, can't it, for change, and that realization there are better ways of doing it. So that's really good, definitely. On that note, actually, Graham, just something I would like to say is that one of the things that I would definitely say to anyone who's listening, from my experience of leading now, is to really, really audit your entire business and start like pivoting and future-proofing. And I have really changed my business model, because now the world knows, for example, that you can do most things online. I've been teaching online for over 10 years. Some people are a little bit frightened of doing that, whereas now we know, you can do it on your phone, you can do it anywhere. So if you don't respond to the fact that people now want information in different ways and people's mindsets have changed, you can get left behind. So I think it's brilliant. Like, it's given the opportunity to completely restructure my business model and do something different. Yeah, absolutely. I think that whole adaptability and innovation is so important, isn't it? Well, you mentioned there about virtual working online now. What tips would you give? A couple of tips, top tips for virtual leadership. What would they be? Well, again, I mainly communicate with my guys through Facebook. So I have regular slots. I appear every single week. I make sure that if people want me, they tag me in, and I get back to them within 24 hours. If I can't do that, I also have other team members, like my other guys, or my business partners, will also take days to cover, so we can support all of our teachers if it's busy. Because the thing with virtual working is that people do want everything like right now, so immediate, whereas if you've got a physical meeting that you can prepare for, people will leave it until the meeting to ask you. But if you can just literally put a question on your phone, you tend to get lots and lots of questions. So boundaries around when you are available and when you're not available as a leader is important. Otherwise, because we're on our phones so much, you can end up feeling overwhelmed and you don't have that work-life balance. Yeah, I think when teams are co-located, it's easy, isn't it? Really, teams just set up and the ways of working just happen and you have a conversation. So I guess virtually what you're saying there is you've got to be really disciplined, haven't you, to set up those rules of engagement and spend some time saying about, how are we going to communicate? What are the processes? When can we be in contact? When can't we? I know a lot of people get impression that some people, they'll work quite late at night, won't they? And they'll send emails out, and some people then think, oh my God, I need to respond to those straight away, when actually they're just offloading them and they don't need a response straight away. Tomorrow is okay. So it's those sort of things, isn't it, where we need to agree that. Yeah, definitely. So how would people get in contact with you? What would be, there's some really great insights there and around about love. I guess what you're saying, leadership is love, aren't you? Really, that's what you really say. You knew I was going to say that. Yeah, lead with love is. Lead with love, yeah.
main thing. I mean, and also the other thing is, I really have discovered in COVID-19 that I am for the many. My joy, my highest joy comes from empowering others to then empower others, and I very much believe in the ripple effect. And that's not everybody. There's the other way of like, you can mentor and coach and support leaders who then lead. But for me, I'm a real grassroots girl, and that's so shows up in what we do in Malawi. So if you want to find out more about what I do, I am a love legacy coach and mentor, and that's my website is iamgayleberry.com, and then my business, my global international teacher training business, is Blossom and Berry. And then my charity is Love Support Unite. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you can check out Love Specs as well, which is our charity fundraising product that we use to raise money around the world for our sustainable development projects in Malawi. So as you can see by the titles of everything I do, love is pretty much in every word. So, I live it, breathe it, talk it, embody it. I am it. I am love, basically.
Fantastic. There's a fantastic musician, a guy called Benjamin Zander, and he talks about leadership, and he talks about the power of music and how that connects. And one of the things he talks about is, you got it right when you got shiny eyes. Yeah, when you connect with people, you're that passion and purpose. And I've got shiny eyes listening to you in terms of what you do. So it's been really great. We'll put all the links in the website somewhere, with the video, and it's been really fascinating to speak to you. I think there's some great insights there, isn't it, around really getting the mindset right. You can't lead others unless you can lead yourself first. So getting yourself right, getting that work ethic in there, getting your purpose and passion in place, and really, getting out your own way, removing your ego and going out there and being you. And I know you do that, and you do that really well because you've created an incredible business. So it's been an absolute pleasure, Gayle. Thank you very much.